Happy New Year, everybody. I'm Susan Mulvihill. My husband Bill and I live in Spokane, Washington, which is located about 300 miles east of Seattle. And the hardiness zone here is roughly from 5B to 6A. Now, I don't know about you, but I am so excited that a new year is here and I really want to hit the ground running. Now, for the last 12 years, I have shot hundreds of videos on all kinds of gardening topics. It is my passion, and I want to help you be successful at growing things like vegetables and flowers or other types of plants in your landscapes, bulbs, you name it. But my passion is definitely with growing vegetables. So because of that, I thought we'd start off the new year right by talking about the vegetable varieties that we are going to grow this year. These are tried and true varieties that are fabulous, and so I'm hoping they will give you some good ideas. Now, before we get started with that, I wanted to let you know that I'm going to be starting shortly a series of videos on everything you need to know about being successful and having a great vegetable garden. So, keep an eye out for the start of that series, hoping within the next couple of weeks. And if you haven't already subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do so. It's Susan's in the Garden, and that way you will know immediately when I've uploaded a new video to my channel. So let's get started with vegetable varieties. Now, I just wanted to let you know that you don't have to frantically take notes because I've got a resource for you on my website, completely free, and I wanted to show you where that is just so you can locate the names of the varieties, and I listed all kinds of sources for the seeds. So I'm hoping that will be helpful. So all you have to do is go to susansinthegarden.com, and you'll see that there is a guides menu. And then you just go down the menu to Susan and Bill's Garden 2026, and here it is. So it's alphabetical by the name of the crop. I mentioned the variety name that I recommend, and then here are all sorts of sources for those types of seeds. So I hope that that will be super helpful for you. It's a lot. Now, because it's 26 degrees Fahrenheit outside, I thought it'd be very nice to go through the seeds indoors with you. Hope you don't mind. But I'm going to show you the packets in the case where I don't have photos of the vegetables growing in our garden. But for the most part, I do have lots of photos to share with you, and I'll explain why we want to grow them again, or if it's something new that we're trying, what intrigued us about it. First up is Esme arugula, and this is something that I actually grow for salad greens during the fall and winter months. So we are still harvesting them from our little hoop house, and they are just delightful to eat during this time of year. So it's been a tried and true variety for us. This year I'm going to grow two varieties of pole beans, Vortex and Monte Gusto Yellow. I love growing pole beans because they have a much longer season than bush beans do, so they are super productive. Now, I used to grow a pole bean called Musica. It was a flat potted bean, and we really enjoyed it, but it does not like how hot our summers have become. And Vortex grows like a champ. Those are green beans, and they are very tender no matter how long they get. And then last year I tried Monte Gusto Yellow, and holy cow, they are so incredibly productive. They're very tender. Beans are not as long as the Vortex, but they're still a fabulous bean. So that's why I'm growing two this year. Now, even though I said that I prefer to grow pole beans because they produce much longer, I do grow bush beans specifically for the purpose of donating to our local food bank. And actually, I also donate extra pole beans to them. But I always add in extra beans in an extra bed in our garden so that we can help the folks in our community. and Contender has been a good one for us. We love growing beets every year, and we primarily roast them. They are so tasty. And the two most reliable varieties we've grown are Cylindra, and some different seed companies call it cylindrical, and golden beets. Both of them are awesome. If you've been following me for the last few years, you know that I've been growing Bell-Star broccoli. It is amazing. The heads are huge. It seems to be amazingly heat tolerant, which is nice. And we get a fantastic harvest from very few plants. So this is definitely one that I'll be growing again next year. I cannot recommend it enough. Now, since I mentioned that I grow arugula during the fall and winter months, I thought you might be interested in a new variety of cabbage that I'm going to grow in the fall and winter of 2026, and that is Tiara cabbage. This is brand new, and it only needs 57 days to reach maturity, which is very impressive for cabbage. So you'll have to stay tuned to see how it does for us, but I'm very excited about growing it. I love growing carrots every year, and I have been very impressed with Dulciva, Narvik, and Tendersweet. Each of them produced really nice roots and very flavorful. So I'm going to grow those again this year. You might think it's silly to grow your own celery, but it is so delicious. And the nice thing about it is that it's always available out in the garden for you to take a few stalks from. So if you haven't tried doing this before, I'd recommend trying it in 2026. I like growing Swiss chard every year for a few reasons. First of all, leaves are delicious, especially when you steam them, either as a side dish or adding them into soups and stews and that type of thing. But the other thing is that the plants are quite heat tolerant, and so you can just pick them over and over and over. I like to harvest the individual leaves rather than the whole plant because that really extends my harvest. Now, on the seed list on my website that I showed you earlier, I just listed rainbow as kind of a generic variety because there are a lot of them out there and they are essentially the same thing. So two that I would recommend are Rainbow Blend and Garden Rainbow. I think that 2025 was the year of the cucumber because I cannot believe how many I harvested. And Mini Me is a fabulous variety. Very easy to grow and so prolific. I never used to be a big fan of kale. And then when I started incorporating it into salads with other types of greens, I decided that, yeah, you know, it is pretty good. So this is Red Russian, and that is the variety that I have grown over and over in the last few years. And this is a variety I typically grow during the fall and winter months because it's very cold tolerant. So I definitely recommend that one. I haven't grown leeks for a few years, so I decided it was high time I grew them again because I really missed their lovely mild onion flavor. And the variety that I've always had great luck with is Bulgarian Giant. I've only been able to find the seeds at Baker Creek Heirloom Seeds, but it is definitely worth trying, and surprise, I have a video on growing leeks, so you'll definitely want to check that out. There are a lot of lettuce varieties on the market, and I've tried a whole bunch of them and enjoyed them, but my very favorite is Bauer lettuce. This is something that I start quite early and plant underneath some plastic cloches to give them some cold protection. And they are actually pretty cold hardy anyway, but that way I get a jump on the season and harvest it pretty much through the entire garden season until it gets super hot. This is one that is definitely worth looking into because we really enjoy it. Bill is definitely the onion growing expert in our family, and he loves growing onions. He's tried different varieties over the years, and the two that he's growing this year that he's very happy with is Ailsa Craig and Red of Florence. So as you can see by the photos, they produce beautiful bulbs and they are really delicious. So after lots of experimentation, those are his current favorites. Pak Choi is another favorite of ours. We like to add them into stir fries or steam them and serve them as a side dish, or even add some of the leaves into salads. And the variety that we have been the most happy with, because we have tried a few, is Bopak. So if you're out there looking for seeds and you see Bopak, you definitely want to pick those up. Parsnips are another vegetable that I haven't grown in the last couple of years, and I decided I better remedy that. So they look like a carrot, except that they are white, and they have a very distinctive, delicious flavor. So that's something that's definitely going into our garden this year. I've tried different varieties, and Hollow Crown seems to be our favorite. As you can see by the size of this packet, we like to buy the large economy size of Green Arrow shelling peas. That's because it is very productive. The peas are absolutely fabulous and super easy to grow. I always start them in early spring, and if you're familiar with my videos, you know that I start them in rain gutters to get off to an early start and quickly plant them into one of our raised beds. If you haven't seen any of those videos, look for the title Gutter Peas. Bill really enjoys growing peppers every year, both sweet peppers and hot peppers. And the ones he wanted to recommend to you are Marconi Rosso. Those produce large sweet peppers that are fabulous. And then hot peppers, he's growing early jalapeno and Megatron. Both of those are tried and true varieties that produce well year after year. You can't have a vegetable garden without growing pumpkins, right? So last year, for the first time, I tried a new to me variety called Jack B. Little, and I have to tell you, they were absolutely adorable. So I'm going to grow that for an ornamental pumpkin, like for table decorations and so on. And then I always grow New England pie pumpkin, and for that very reason, I love roasting the squash and making homemade pumpkin pies. That is a great variety. If you're looking for a vegetable crop that matures in nothing flat, you definitely should plant some radishes in your garden, because it's almost like instant gratification. And one of the varieties that we really enjoy is purple plum, and you'll notice in the packet on the right that they call it plum purple. But it's the same thing. They're very tasty. They're not super spicy, fun to have in salads or just for a little snack. Bill really enjoys and excels at growing shallots, and his favorite variety is Zabroon. We have a whole box of them in the garage, and we're constantly using them for all kinds of dishes, and they really are reliable and grow well. In addition to growing pumpkins, I bet most gardeners love growing summer squash or zucchinis. And last year, for the first time ever, I grew Zephyr zucchinis, and look at how beautiful they are. They actually have kind of a creamy taste, which I know sounds weird because they're crispy, but the flavor was amazing. And so this year, I'm going to do something crazy and only grow this variety of summer squash. You should give it a try, just one plant, and you will be so amazed at how beautiful they are and how delicious. Last year, I grew a bed of several gray zucchini plants, specifically for donating to our local food bank. And I was so impressed with the nice squash that the plants produce. It was very prolific, and I was thrilled to be able to take it every few days to the food bank. So I know there are a lot of folks out there who enjoyed having that on their table. So this is a great variety of zucchini. It's kind of weird that it's called gray zucchini, because that doesn't sound very appealing to me, but maybe it's named after somebody with the last name of Gray. But it's a great variety. I love growing winter squash every year because I can store them down in our basement and we can enjoy it through the fall and winter months. I have experimented with a lot of different varieties, and the two that I like the most are Autumn Frost and Burpee's Butterbush Butternut Squash. Autumn Frost is very prolific, and the squash have the most wonderful flavor when you roast them in the oven. They do require a bit of time to mature, up to 100 days, and amazingly enough, in our Zone 5B climate, they ripen for me every year. So that is definitely one you'll want to try. If you like butternut squash, but you find that they take too long to reach maturity, I would recommend Burpee's Butterbush Butternut Squash. They are available all over the place, so it's easy to find the seeds. They taste just like butternut squash, but they don't need a long season. I think if I remember correctly, they just need about 75 days, which is perfect. If you're looking for a fantastic tomato that ripens quickly and is super reliable for making things like tomato paste, sauce, and salsa, Supremo is my top recommendation. I've grown it 3 or 4 years in a row now. This probably is the 4th year. They always produce reliably. I've never had them have issues with blossom end rot, which is nice. They're a determinate tomato, so the plants are shorter, and the tomatoes tend to ripen mostly at the same time, which is ideal when you have a canning project. So this is one that I have been very happy with, and it is now available as seeds from far more sources, which is great. And the Mulvihill garden would not be complete if I didn't grow my favorite slicing tomato, which is Chef's Choice Orange. You have not had a good tomato sandwich until you try one with these tomatoes, because they are amazing. They produce a large sized tomato, beautiful orange color, and the flavor can't be beat. If you like the kind of turnip that you can eat fresh, like an apple, this is a great variety for you. It's called Mikado. And there's also a variety that's very similar called Silky Sweet. So it's not the big tough turnips that you would use in a casserole or roasted in the oven. These are ones that you eat fresh. They're super easy to grow, and I think you will really enjoy them. And that's a wrap for my first video of the 2026 garden season. I hope it gave you some good ideas of what to grow. Thanks so much for watching today, everybody. Happy gardening.